Okay, so hey, the other day Bruce was asking about this little rainbow toolkit and that I use for wire wraps, and so I wanted to walk through what's in here, um, and then people will see, and maybe it'll work for them, maybe it won't. So basically, the way that this is right now, with just these guys and then those guys. Oh, can you see all those guys back there on the table? Those are the ones that aren't in here. But in this first one, at the top over here, is wire. It is spools, typically of zebra wire, typically 22 gauge. This one has sapphire blue and natural, which is like copper. And then there's a turquoisey one. I think this is... No, that's the 20 gauge sea green that I just put over here to use. Also, I have this kind of shitty, just galvanized wire from Ace. I use that for danglies. I don't necessarily use it for necklaces, although you can, but it's not annealed properly, so that it's really, really hard to work with. It's really good for straight things or for providing strength in something that you're wrapping that's maybe big. Okay, so anyways, and then I have some heavier gauge copper that I'm not, I don't know where I got it, but craft store probably, because it's all coiled up. And then I have a couple more packets where, because these are colored, you can't see the colors, but I have another silver finish and a black, I think this one's black. And then in this next one down, I have, always important, E6000. And I have a pencil, and I have some green wire, but then I also have some instructions on how I do this. The lady that taught me how to wire wrap, Connie Nunemaker, I have instructions that she gave me that sometimes I refer to, if it's been, especially if it's been a while since I've done a wrap. So that's the stuff on this side. On this other side, I have a box that basically just has necklaces. Empty necklaces. A lot of them are real, like, wire stringy, like very small strength cording, hemp cording, different colors. I have a cool, fun pen in here that I made too. Ooh, la la. And the problem with most of these is I use this kind of a clamp on them, and it is so big that it doesn't go through the pendant holes. So it's good if you are going to put what I realized is you can put a pendant on with the jump ring, which you can just wrap to that. And so eventually I'll use those now that I have that new idea. I don't know why I was so slow in coming to it. And if that's confusing, we can talk more about that. This is a box just full of all kinds of little fun hula-hoos that I've been making of late. I totally am in love with these little tiny pentagram, pentagram, like 5 bead star pieces. You can do them with any same size bead. I don't know if I have any other. Oh yeah, here's a different one. This one is made with some bigger beads, but I just love those stars, and they're just so fun to make. Anyway, okay, so that's some of the fun stuff I've made in that bin. And then there's a second bin, which I also have fun stuff I've made. Here's one of the wire wraps that I've done recently. I always try to make my wire wraps double-sided, so that no matter which way someone decides to wear them, they will be cool. Some of them have more beading on one side, or more decoration and more simple on the other. Typically the backs are more simple, but sometimes it's the opposite. Like, just, oops, sorry. Oh, and I get a lot of compliments on my wire swirls, and I don't think I don't have good light for giving you a good close-up of that, but There's some more wire swirls on this guy too, and a lot of times the wire swirls will hide underneath of the beading work, and I tend to overbead. So yeah, there's some swirls. Anyway, so those bins, and then this bin basically just has some a pair of. I rarely use this tool. It is a coated round bender. If you're making bigger swirls and different things, it's probably really useful. I tend to make tight swirls. You cannot use this. It does not grab it really well. So it's more, I don't know. I just have not had a lot of luck with this tool, but I keep it still. But these are lengths, varying lengths. One is about 12 inches and one is about 18 inches of old wire that Danny got me from the Restore. We took the sheathing off of it, and then basically whenever I need wire, I just unwind 2 or 3 of these strands, and depending on what kind of a style of wrap I'm doing, and there's my ready supply. And it's super effing cheap. These little spoolie guys, the little ones that are like from the craft store, man, those guys, they aren't cheap. And everything's going up. In this one, I just have a pair of scissors. Occasionally I need scissors, but not too often. And then I have another pair of bifocals that are strong, which sometime I might need. And this is just an empty box with some plastic bags in it for storing whatever. So I have these empty slots in the box, and those are the main ones that I use. And so let's look at that. Oh, I don't know if this is going to be a good way to, okay, we'll see. So, anyways, oh shoot, I was gluing this thing. Speaking of E6000, I had this little acorn, and I'm going to wrap it, and I just wanted to kind of get the cap on it. I'm sure it's not this guy's cap, because it doesn't fit flush, so I'm gluing it. But Danny found it in the car door, so yeah, I think that's how I like him. So now we'll just let him dry. So we'll put him up here. So the stuff that I just pulled out of those interior boxes, because I think I might use them, are these 2 that we showed you earlier. And then this bin is kind of my working bin. And right now, the way it's looking, and it changes all the time depending on what I'm working on, this is what it looks like. And in here we have 3 rocks that I am probably going to be wrapping next in lines. I have, this is amazing. Get this. It is a super great, sharp, close, nice tipped cutting wire cutters that allows you to get as close as you really want to and need to in tight spaces for finishing things like wire wraps, where you take a few pieces of wire and spiral wrap around them with a second piece of wire. When you cut those ends, you want them to be cut really super close, and then you want to crimp them under so that they don't have any sharp points. And this tool is the bomb for that. It is called, I don't know, I can't read it. Hopefully you can read it. Anyway, this tool is one of the wire spiral makers. It is a larger diameter one. I use this a lot for making the hanks, which is the top portion of the pendant that puts it onto the chain. I use this for starting spirals when I want them to be bigger or have more space in the center. I've used it too if I want to put a bead in the center of a spiral, which I haven't done in a while, but that thought came, so I think I might be doing that today. This is a really nice, strong set of pliers. I think I got this at Joann Fabrics, but it does have a cutter at the base, and then it's just got a really nice, pretty smooth flat, not ridged, but and a nice pointy tip. Nice pointy tip. It gives you a lot of control and a lot of strength because of its size. But these are my working girls right here. These three little tiny babies that I think are some cheap ass shit from China. I can't even remember where I got them. Maybe at a thrift store. I don't even know. But they are tiny, but they have so much. This is the pointy pointies. I use these to get the spiral started. Very, very pointy and very tiny. These are pointed, but also have some meat to them, to the plier. So these are great for twisting the spiral in. And then these are really great if once the spiral gets big, holding the spiral together as you continue to twist it in. And all three of these are good for when you finalize your pendant and you're doing the final tightening to make the lightning bolts and the little squiggles and just take a little bit more space out of the looseness in your pendant. These three are wonderful. So what's left in the box now is literally just some teeny bitty scraps of some of the wire that I was just using, the cutoffs from some pendant wraps. And I'll use those to make little tiny dangly strings of stones or whatever. And then this little box, which has to be rubber banded because it don't got its stick no more. It's just, it's not sticky enough, so shit would fly everywhere. But it's just full of the little different beads. And since I'm going to start working again, I'm going to dump it in here and show you some of what's in there. But it's just a kind of a mishmash of some little tiny possible head beads, these kind of sizes, some bigger beads for maybe some strings, and then some tiny little seed beads, some of these nice little joining jump rings. I have them in 3 different sizes. I don't know if we can see those in here, but they're really handy depending on what you're trying to connect together. You could wrap pendants, wrap stones, and then put them in, succession in a string and hang them from a window. I mean, there's another good idea. I might try that too. Okay. So that's my working box, and that's all my stuff that kind of stays in my working box typically. Although these pliers will change depending on which ones I've been using and what kind of little scraps and pieces are in there. That'll change too. The other boxes that are out here are another box with my currently being used upcycled wire that I use. And this one happens to be about 14 or 15 inches long, I think. Yeah, 18. It's definitely not the footer. And then these are awesome. They are like a silicone coated flat plier, and you can put your wire in between it, and with a little bit of pressure and then pulling the wire through, you can take and make a crickety wire into a straight wire. I recommend you get as many of the big cricks out first and then pull, and you'll see amazingness. Plus, at the end, once you've made a pendant and you're doing those final wraps and you want to do your final spiral, a lot of times the end of that wire has gotten all wangled up from digging beads out of places to put onto the string or just you moving stuff around. This is a great way to smooth that wire out before you do that final spiral. And then there's this whole little bag of those jump rings of various sizes. And there's another little bag of some weirdo beads that I like. But I haven't really used so much yet. So there's that. This is a box of some of the most newly created stuff that I've been making, including some pretty big pendant. That was pretty fun. Anyways, so basically now I've got 3 boxes of things to give to folks if they want them. And then this box always goes on the bottom because it's full of stones to wrap. And also I have some magnets in here, super strong magnets to glue onto stuff. I don't know that they're really necessary, but You might find that you want to wrap a rock and then put a magnet back on it so that it can stick on the fridge. That's another cool idea. There's 3. This box has a lot of the little tiny beads that I use. Like there's 2 different boxes of seed beads. One's kind of jeweled and then one's kind of more plain. There's another little box of some kind of weirdo beads that you'll see at the bottom. There's a F ton of all the scraps of cuttings from different projects. These I'll use for little tiny wraps of wires together, etc. And then this is a really cool idea. Inside this pill box, in each of these sections, is a different kind of bead, and I don't want to lose them. So there's like some nice sweet lilac ones, and some darker ones. There's some more dark bluey ones, some wood and pink glass beads. These are kind of those opalescent rainbow ones. They also have some little bugle beads, I think they're called, the long skinny ones. Sometimes those are useful, especially in long hanging things. And some more little seed beads of all colors, and then some copper and brass and black and white in that one. So this whole box is kind of like detail beads. And then these last 2 are my boxes of cool great beads. This box is mainly all kinds of crystals: tourmaline, magnesite, amber, fluorite, blue lapis, jasper, one of my new favorites, Larimar, and some red agates in here too. So those are the ones that I've currently been working with, and they're all kind of smaller size, but I kind of wish there were some that were a little smaller and some that were a little bigger sometimes. So do what you can there. And then I have backup in my inside. I have a bunch of other beads that I can backfill some of these things if I find my trends going in a new direction. And then this is a kind of all of those larger size beads and some other fun beads like little piece beads and other little kinds of funky things that I've picked up along the way. But these beads are things that I might use for some of those strands of colorful stones. I especially love my rainbows. There's some cute little owls in there too. And there's a couple little bags with these little tiny fringe beads which kind of have a hole off to the side. They kind of hang offset. Same with these. They're interesting little, oops, sorry. These are interesting little flashy kind of iridescent bead. And also they're holes off to the side, like these little fringe beads have holes off to the side. And then these kind of beads, I use this size of a bead, and there's a bunch of them. And in here, there's also what I call shield beads, which are kind of flat that can be wrapped against the stone and can, I don't know, I always think of the things that the pendants I make as kind of people-y, so they're like kind of like shields to me. So anyways, these are the kind of size of beads that I use for heads, as you would say, the little beads that kind of come to the top of the pendant and bring the pendant together. And they're all kinds of different little things. So that is my stuff, and that is what I use. And oh yeah, plus, you know, there's always room for more. There are a couple of things that don't fit in these bins, so I also have this thing right here that I'll show you. Oh, can I turn around? Oh, I can't turn around. Okay, I'll show you here. I have this box, and it's a handy dandy, but it has things like these spools of wire that are too big to fit inside those. I also have some even bigger beads for making bigger strands of stuff, and more of those kind of head-sized beads, just because there's so many of them. Oh, and a bunch of skulls. I like skulls. And more than rainbows, and some wood beads. So anyways, this is kind of handy for just kind of a mishmash of things. This might also be a handy place to keep your tools. So next time I do a video like this, you may find that all my tools and shit are in here and all my other stuff is in the bins. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, that's a wrap. And I hope that you appreciate, even though it's late, some stuff about how I do wrapping stuff.